Good afternoon and welcome. Bienvenue. Thank you all for joining us for our third virtual AGM. This meeting also marks the 22nd AGM in the Port's history. We appreciate your presence. We would like to begin by acknowledging that the Port and the village of Belledune are located on the unceded traditional land of the Mi'kmaq people. Ce territoire est couvert par les traités de paix et d'amitié que les Mi'kmaq ont signés avec la couronne britannique. Les traités ne traitaient pas de la cession des terres et de ressources, mais reconnaissaient en fait le titre Mi'kmaq et établissaient les règles de ce qui allait être une relation continue entre les nations. We also acknowledge that we are being joined by attendees across Turtle Island, and we acknowledge the enduring presence of all Indigenous people on this land. As a Port Authority, we are committed to listening, engaging, and learning. We encourage everyone attending today to read the Truth and Reconciliation Commission reports, and in particular, understand the 94 calls to action. We are committed to working in partnership with Indigenous peoples to implement change. Our acknowledgement today carries respect and thanks to the original caretakers of this land. My name is Jeffrey David, Director of Engineering at the Port, and it is my pleasure to welcome everyone here today. Bonjour, je suis Jeffrey David, Directeur de l'Ingénierie. Il me fait plaisir de vous souhaiter la bienvenue ici aujourd'hui. For the purpose of this meeting, the presentation will be conducted in both English and French. However, the questions will be answered in the language which they are written. La présentation se fera en anglais et en français. Toutefois, les questions seront répondues dans la langue qu'elles ont été posées. Just a few housekeeping items before we begin. All microphones will be muted except for those of the presenters. Questions can be posed using the question function. Although questions can be asked at any time, they will be moderated and held for the end of the presentation. If you happen to have a question during the presentation, click on the indicated button to open the Q&A function. This opens the Q&A function screen. Here, you can see any posts from the BPA. There may be posts if there are technical difficulties. To submit your question, click on the Ask a Question button as indicated. Here, you can add your name, or if you'd like, you can post anonymously. Type your question into the space provided, and it will be posted to the moderator. We would also like to note that this AGM is being recorded. Cet événement en direct sera enregistré. The recording will be provided on our website following the event. We would like to open our AGM by inviting Mayor Arsenault and Deputy Mayor Bourque to speak.
Bonjour, mon nom c'est Ron Bourque, puis je suis le député maire de le village de Belledune. Si tu demeures dans le village de Belledune, tu es déjà au courant de l'importance que le port de Belledune jouait dans l'économic development de Belledune. En même temps, l'équipe que Denis Caron a mis ensemble, c'est une équipe de professionnels qui est prête de changer l'économie, pas seulement de Belledune, mais de la région. De nos maires, Paul Arsenault, puis tous les membres de le conseil, on dit merci beaucoup pour ton ouvrage que tu as fait dans les années passées, puis on est ici pour vous aider dans le futur. Merci.
Good afternoon. Bon après-midi. I would like to welcome everyone to this afternoon's Belledune Port Authority Annual General Meeting. C'est un honneur d'être avec vous. The Port of Belledune has been an economic catalyst for our municipality and region for some time now, and we know it will remain a key player. Mr. Caron, board members, administration, and staff of the Port of Belledune are among the most talented and passionate I've had the privilege to work with, and you should be very proud as we are of you. On behalf of CAO Chris Kingston, who is with us this afternoon, Deputy Mayor Ron Bourque, Council, administration, staff, and the citizens of Belledune, congratulations on your well-deserved success. Merci beaucoup.
Thank you, Mayor Arsenault and Deputy Mayor Burke. Both Chief Sacha Labillois of Eel River Bar First Nation and Chief Terry Richardson of Pabineau First Nation have graciously offered to be a part of our AGM this afternoon. Chief Labillois was busy this afternoon, but did come prepared with a pre-recorded welcome message.
Kwe, Telewizi Sacha Labillois, Telewit Ukbiganchik. Bonjour, je m'appelle Sacha Labillois et je viens de Eel River Bar. Hello everyone, my name is Sacha Labillois. I'm from Eel River Bar First Nation and I'm the chief here in this beautiful community. I wanted to take the time today to welcome everyone to the 22nd annual general meeting of the Port of Belledune. I am very proud to be a partnering body with the port and especially with our protocol that we have with Eel River Bar, Pabineau, MTI, and the port. It's great for our region and we have a lot of work to do here. I'd like to wish everyone a successful AGM today on this virtual venue. And I also wanted to acknowledge that we're here on the traditional Mi'kmaq lands, unceded and unsurrendered lands. Much success today, and I hope you all have a wonderful day. Merci beaucoup. Thank you. Walalin. Kwe, Telewizi Sacha Labillois, Telewit.
Thanks to Chief Labillois for her kind words, and we apologize for that technical issue. Chief Richardson, the floor is yours.
Gui, hello, bonjour. Thank you for allowing us to join you today. Obviously, as was stated earlier, you know, the port to us is a gem in the part of northern New Brunswick here, and it's very important that we get that gem, we polish it, and we move it forward. And we've been working very diligently along with the great staff that you have at the port to get our message across to who we have to get it across to, because we all know that these have been very trying times in these last 2 years with COVID. With what's happening in the world right now, it's putting the energy crisis into the forefront. And I believe the port is poised and right at the cusp of becoming or getting something across the line anyway to make us able to show a project in the northern part of the community, that northern part of the region, that's going to benefit everybody in the region. You know, again, a huge thank you to Denis and the staff who have been working very diligently. I know that we push as much as we can along with the mayors and in the region. Everybody sees the benefit that the region needs to have and that the port could be the catalyst to provide that growth in the region. I believe firmly that we're very close to it. I know we preach it a lot. I have my fellow compatriot over my shoulder here on the economic side who's sent many letters, made many phone calls to try to get this, you know, trying to get something and keep us at the forefront, along with the work that Denis has been doing at the port, along with his staff. So a huge thank you for allowing us to be part of the AGA today. I believe we're very close to this in the region, and it's going to be beneficial for everybody, because if the region benefits, we all benefit, First Nations and everybody in the region. So thank you so much.
Chief Richardson, your support is very much appreciated, and we look forward to working closely with First Nations on our plans for the future. J'aimerais maintenant vous présenter le président de notre conseil d'administration, Hermel Vienno.
Bonjour, good afternoon. J'aimerais commencer par reconnaître que le territoire sur lequel est situé le port de Belledune, le territoire traditionnel et non cédé du peuple Mi'kmaq. L'année 2021 était excellente pour le port, malgré les défis associés à la poursuite de nos opérations en temps de pandémie. Nous sommes parvenus en grande partie grâce au travail acharné et au développement de notre président-directeur général, M. Denis Caron, et de son personnel. Notre partenaire d'arrimage et exploitant des terminaux 3 et 4, QSL Est du Canada, a également joué un rôle important dans l'augmentation du trafic portuaire. This year also saw progress in expansion and modernization of terminals 3 and 4. In all, more than $34 million was dedicated to the upgrading of the 2 terminals by the federal and provincial governments, as well by the port itself. With assistance from the National Coal Transition Fund through ACOA, the Port Authority was also able to undertake a major planning initiative that will help guide our destiny and ambitions over the decades to come. This undertaking helped us focus our energy and efforts on developing a green energy hub concept that was well received by all levels of government and the private sector. Je souhaite remercier notre PDG, M. Denis Caron, notre conseillère juridique et secrétaire générale, Jennifer Cleversey-Moffitt, notre directeur de l'ingénierie, Jeffrey David, notre gestionnaire des ressources humaines et des communications, Jessica Viano, ainsi que notre contrôleur, Maurice Lausier, pour leur travail acharné et leur dévouement qui ont rendu tout cela possible. Nous remercions tout particulièrement notre adjointe exécutive, Lynn Russell, qui a organisé la réunion du conseil d'administration, les calendriers et les divers événements de l'année. Je profite de l'occasion pour remercier également notre présidente sortante, Mme Danica Keeley, pour son dévouement et le solide leadership dont elle a fait preuve au sein du conseil d'administration au fil des années. This year also had us saying goodbye to Captain Winford Goodman, a 36-year veteran in the maritime industry and a team member with the port here over 2 decades. All in all, 2021 was a great year and one that laid the foundation for better things to come. I'd like to introduce the other members of our board and directors and thank them for their expertise, dedication, and contribution. Our Vice Chair, Iris Auclair-Bernard, and the directors, Lucien Saunier, Loriot Roy, and Luc Roy. Pour conclure, je tiens à remercier de tout cœur la communauté, nos partenaires des Premières Nations en Papineau, l'Estégoche et Hill River Bar, ainsi que le village de Belledune pour leur soutien continu, leur collaboration et leur dévouement envers l'administration portuaire de Belledune. I'd like now to turn the floor over to our President and CEO, Mr. Denis Caron.
Merci, Armel, and thank you to everyone attending our virtual AGM today. As I reflect on a year like 2021, I am reminded that life is all about the choices we make. In a year of repeated pandemic-induced lockdowns, increased regulations to limit carbon emissions, supply chain shortages, and increased market volatility, it would have been easy to choose a path of complacency or even accept defeat. Instead, 2021 was a year the Belledune Port Authority decided to focus on expansion, ambition, and progress. With our master development plan identifying pathways for long-term growth, our attention was directed towards not only finding a solution to address the federal government's vital tightening of energy policies, but in becoming an active player and advocate for regenerative growth in Canada and the region. Born out of the work with the Master Development Plan and NB Power's need to phase out coal by 2030, the Belledune Port Authority embarked upon the development of the Green Energy Hub concept for Northern New Brunswick. Ce plan permettra au port de faciliter la transition visant l'abandon des activités liées à l'industrie lourde au profit d'un développement propre et écologique, tout en lui permettant de prospérer dans ce contexte. En mettant l'accent sur l'hydrogène, les énergies renouvelables et les petits réacteurs modulaires, nos travaux visant à créer des nouvelles sources d'énergie propres pour l'industrie, la province et la nation ont obtenu le soutien de tous les ordres de gouvernement et du secteur privé. En 2021, nous avons vu nos terminaux prendre de l'expansion grâce au généreux soutien des gouvernements fédéral et provincial. L'augmentation de la taille des terminaux, la relocalisation des bateaux remorqueurs dans un bras de mer sûr et la modernisation des installations étaient une priorité pour le port. Et nous envisageons de terminer les travaux de ce projet de 34 millions de dollars en 2022. En outre, notre objectif en 2021 était d'atteindre un bénéfice net d'un peu plus d'1 million de dollars. Nous avons finalement dépassé nos meilleurs estimés en réalisant un bénéfice net de 1,6 million de dollars. Malgré la fermeture, les changements dans les produits de base, la pandémie de COVID-19 et les répercussions de l'inflation croissante, le port a tenu bon. I can't talk about our success, however, without attributing it to the dedication of our team. With some of the region's smartest and most tenacious and talented people, our employees made 2021 a year of innovation, financial prosperity, and growing partnerships. My thanks to the team for their continued hard work and limitless support. I would also like to extend my thanks to our First Nation partners around the region, in particular Papineau First Nation, Listigush First Nation, and Eel River Bar First Nation. Our relationship continues to deepen, and we look forward to collectively bringing success to the region through the communities and the port. As I look towards the years to come, my sincere hope is for purposeful renewal and prosperity for the region. However, waiting for change is not an option. When faced with the decision on how to advance during these turbulent times of uncertainty, the port chose to think bigger, to be innovative, and to embrace the challenges. Agir pour orienter notre avenir est notre priorité et notre plan. Nous savons que nous pouvons compter sur une collaboration continue avec nos voisins, nos clients, nos locataires et les communautés alors que nous continuons à développer nos activités existantes et à créer des occasions dans le domaine des énergies propres. L'administration portuaire de Belledune est un catalyseur de changement et il nous tarde de contribuer à la réussite de notre région. Merci. Thank you very much. I would now like to invite Maurice Lausier, our controller, to present our financial statements for the year 2021. Maurice.
Merci, Denis. Bonjour tout le monde. I will start my financial statement presentation with the statement of operations and comprehensive income. For 2021, revenues are slightly higher than year 2020 for a total of $8,368,000. Total operating expenses are $6,689,000 for a net income before comprehensive income of $1,486,000. The Belledune Port Authority is proud to publish a $1,632,000 net income for year 2021. Du côté de l'état de la situation financière, l'actif démontre un actif à court terme de 12 486 000 $ et un actif à long terme de 73 793 000 $ pour un total de l'actif de 86 279 000 $. Dans les passifs à court terme, on démontre un passif à court terme de 8 731 000 $ et un total des passifs de 25 890 000 $. Les capitaux propres présentent un total de 60 389 000 $ pour un total des passifs et des capitaux propres de 86 279 000 $. Et ceci termine le survol de la présentation des états financiers. Le prochain item est the next item is to announce that our auditors for 2022 will once again be Grant Thornton LLP. And this concludes the presentation of the financial statements and financial auditors for 2022. I would like to invite Jennifer to present some highlights of the year 2021.
Thank you, Maris. Coming together in the spirit of partnership and good faith, the Belledune Port Authority, Pabineau First Nation, and Eel River Bar First Nation have created a tripartite group to actively engage and work with Glencore Canada on the current decommissioning of the Brunswick smelter in Belledune, neighbor to the Port of Belledune. Grounded in proactive sharing of information and working collaboratively, the tripartite committee is actively continuing to move this project forward. In 2021, the BPA, Pabineau First Nation, Eel River Bar First Nation, and MTI signed a first-of-its-kind agreement that reestablishes the port's commitment to the Indigenous communities in the region and guarantees First Nations involvement in projects on port land. Co-authored by myself and MTI's legal counsel, Derek Simon, this agreement lays out the process for how First Nations will be involved in determining the impacts of projects happening on federal lands at the port. Le protocole a été créé pour répondre aux articles 82 et 84 de la loi sur l'évaluation d'impact et vise à garantir que les déterminations de l'impact sont effectuées par le biais d'un processus transparent, respectueux et collaboratif. Le président directeur général de l'administration portuaire de Belledune, M. Denis Caron, a été très heureux d'être nommé au conseil d'administration de l'Association des administrations portuaires canadiennes en 2021. En aidant à guider l'orientation de l'association et sa vision future, M. Caron s'est réjoui de soutenir le travail des ports maritimes du Canada qui vise des opérations de transport maritime plus propres. The BPA in 2021 undertook a voluntary study to survey and report on underwater noise in the area around the port and the impact it can potentially have on wildlife. This was a proactive project and will help to assess risks and identify areas to improve. This piece of work falls under the port's Green Marine certification effort, and the information learned will be shared with stakeholders, rights holders, and the community in 2022. Les travaux de projet d'expansion du port ont commencé en 2020 et se sont poursuivis en 2021. Les travaux maritimes visant à créer des caissons à claire-voie supplémentaires pour grandir des terminaux et construire un nouveau quai pour les remorqueurs. Des travaux de terrassement ont également été effectués pour commencer à combler l'espace entre terminaux 3 et 4, ce qui a permis de créer une zone d'exploitation plus sûre et de stabiliser une section du terminal 4 pour créer une zone de dépôt supplémentaire. As a part of this work, a habitat compensation project was carried out in 2021. Habitat locations were chosen in consultation with First Nations fishers, and much of the work was carried out by fishers from the surrounding communities and Eel River Bar First Nation. Monitoring of the work will commence in 2023 to assess the success of the habitat locations. In 2021, the port saw more than 400,000 tons of wood pellets and wood chips exported through its marine terminals, which was 63% more than 2020 exports. The port, along with its partners, are projecting to see another increase in exports for 2022 and are anticipating and ready to meet the possible opportunity of biomass being used more and more domestically. The port supports domestic transition efforts in Canada to biomass products to produce energy away from traditional fossil fuels. With partner QSL Eastern Division, a new wood pellet storage facility was built on the port's Terminal 3 in 2021, with an additional one in the works. The total storage capacity at the port has so far increased in recent years to keep up with the growing demand, from only 20,000 metric tons to a current 70,000 metric tons. The Belledune Port Authority has established itself as a proven business leader with the potential to continue growing. Acting as an integral part of the global marine transportation industry, the BPA attracts complementary businesses to the port and is strategically located to accommodate some of the shortest sea shipping routes from Canada to the US and Europe. With more than 1,600 acres of industrially zoned land that is ready for development, the BPA identified the need to establish a framework to guide future industrial growth that is clean and sustainable. Avec l'aide du gouvernement fédéral et de l'Initiative canadienne de transition pour l'industrie du charbon, de l'Agence de promotion économique du Canada Atlantique en 2019, l'administration portuaire du Belledune a fait appel à la compagnie d'ingénierie Hatch en 2020. Les consultants de Hatch sont des exportateurs de transport maritime et des facilitateurs économiques de renommée mondiale. Et avec leur soutien, l'administration portuaire du Belledune a commencé à élaborer le plan maître d'expansion. From the work done, several opportunity paths have been identified, and a potential green energy hub has emerged in the plan. The hub, shared and validated by leading industry experts, represents a possible circular economic model that will increase environmentally conscious projects, imports, and exports at the port. It will also generate self-sufficient green energy powering clean industry. The Green Energy Hub could be the leading solution to show how economic prosperity and environmental sustainability can go hand in hand. After 18 months of studies and research, the MDP process is just completing final engagement with the community, stakeholders, and rights holders. It is expected to be completed in late summer 2022. For more information on the MDP process and a final report when available, please visit our website. As our master development planning process comes to a close, we did want to take this opportunity to invite Hatch Engineering to provide a brief update on the work. I'd like to introduce Joshua and Camille to present.
Thank you, Jennifer. Since late 2020, the Belledune Port Authority and Hatch have partnered together on the creation of a 30-year development roadmap for the port, known as the Master Development Plan, or the MDP. The MDP is a cross-cutting collaboration between Hatch's ports and terminals and urban solutions practices that draws on our extensive global expertise in strategic planning and infrastructure development for marine terminals of all kinds. The MDP comprises three main components. One, a baselining assessment of current infrastructure, agreements, operations, and plans. Two, an analysis of opportunities in the maritime market, commercial and industrial real estate market, and broader northern New Brunswick economy. And three, the creation, evaluation, and selection of a preferred development option with a special focus on regional economic development, technological innovation, and financial and environmental sustainability. That final development option will include a series of decisions and recommendations to be implemented throughout the 30-year planning horizon. The MDP process includes outreach to rights holders and other port stakeholders, during which shared goals and criteria for success are developed.
Merci, Joshua. Le plan maître d'expansion a débuté vers la fin de l'année 2020. Dès le démarrage de ce projet, nous avons revu et évalué les opérations et conditions actuelles du port. En 2021, nous avons tenu nos premières rencontres d'engagement des parties prenantes. Plus précisément, ces dernières étaient spécifiques aux exploitants et opérateurs du port. Puis, durant la deuxième portion de l'année 2021 et le début de l'année 2022, c'est à ce moment que la majeure partie de notre travail a été menée. Durant ce processus laborieux, que sont les études, le développement et l'évaluation d'options et le démarrage de sélection d'une option comme vision pour les 30 prochaines années au port, une deuxième phase d'engagement avec les parties prenantes a été menée. Celle-ci servait précisément à indiquer où nous en étions dans le processus et recueillir les commentaires des exploitants et opérateurs du port, des gouvernements et autorités, des Premières Nations et des communautés. Finalement, Comme vous pouvez le voir sur la diapositive, l'étoile jaune représente où nous en sommes rendus aujourd'hui dans le processus. Il ne reste que quelques mois à ce processus. Nous continuons à recueillir les commentaires et raffiner le plan maître d'expansion d'une vision de 30 ans. Nous envisageons achever ce projet à la fin de l'été, début de l'automne 2022.
As we've progressed through the MDP timeline, the initial form of a preferred development option has begun to emerge. It is centered around the concept of maximum diversification, designating a series of land use districts for specific maritime and non-maritime development, with a special focus on greening industry wherever possible, and most importantly, on establishing a green energy hub at the port. Maritime development will be focused on 1, securing anchor-sized maritime-dependent industry at the port, while 2, simultaneously building upon the strong book of dry and liquid bulk business at the port today, and to potentially expand into roll-on, roll-off cargoes. These uses will be concentrated close to the marine infrastructure at terminals 1 through 4. Non-maritime development, in contrast, will be concentrated on the upland portions of the port, where access to the waterfront is not as critical. Development in this category will be focused on opportunities in light manufacturing, as well as the aforementioned green energy hub. This development will certainly not happen overnight, but in identifying opportunities for the vast majority of the port's 1,600 hectares that are grounded in sound market analyses and meet the port's goals and objectives, we will arrive at a flexible framework that can accommodate changing trends and opportunities as the 30-year planning horizon progresses. And while the preferred development option has begun to take shape, it is important to stress that the MDP is not yet complete. Outreach on the project will continue, which include opportunities for First Nations and stakeholders to weigh in on the MDP and the future of the port.
Comme indiqué dans l'échéancier présenté un peu plus tôt, nous avons récemment démarré le processus d'engagement phase 2 avec les parties prenantes. La semaine dernière, nous avons eu la chance de se regrouper en personne avec les parties prenantes internes et externes du port, puis aussi avec la Première Nation de Papineau. Nous attendons avec impatience de planifier des sessions d'engagement avec les Premières Nations de Restigouche et Hill River Bar. Ces discussions qui ont eu lieu la semaine dernière ont été très enrichissantes. Plusieurs bons points ont été mentionnés par les opérateurs et exploitants du port, les élus et la Première Nation de Papineau. Des différents commentaires émis pendant ces sessions, nous en retirons que la communauté et la Première Nation de Papineau adhèrent à ce plan maître d'expansion, qu'ils ont un désir d'y voir s'implanter au port de nouvelles technologies et des carburants propres. En général, tout le monde est en accord pour dire que cette vision, pour les 30 prochaines années, créera des opportunités exceptionnelles pour la région. Thank you for the opportunity to attend and participate in your AGM. As we close out the meeting, I will turn the floor over to Denis.
Merci beaucoup, Camille. Thank you very much, Joshua, for all of your hard work and support along the way with the Master Development Plan. So I guess we're at that time to entertain a number of questions or comments that anyone would have. So I'll open the floor.
So Denis, we do have some questions. The first question I have is, if I have ideas about the future of the port, who do I get in touch with?
So as Camille and Joshua mentioned, there's still a few more months left before we wrap up essentially the engagement process and finalize the consultation that we're doing. But clearly on our website, there's an opportunity to submit comments or questions, or if not, to contact us directly. So our team, myself included, would be happy to take any questions and essentially incorporate any comments that you would have in the Master Development Plan process.
I have another question. So once the MDP is done, what are the next steps?
So the MDP is really a long-term plan. Donc, c'est un plan directeur pour les prochains 25 à 30 ans. Donc, c'est très important d'avoir évidemment de l'input de la communauté, de différents intervenants. Very important to receive comments and get your input. It's a 25 to 30 year plan. And once the plan is completed, clearly on a yearly basis, we will put together a work plan. We will focus on some of the business development opportunities. I mean, we are currently working on a number of them, but essentially we want to accelerate our work with respect to business development here at the port. We also may have to look at future investments with respect to infrastructure and look at essentially what is needed to support the growth here at the port. So we'll be incorporating that in our capital plan. And clearly, every year, we want to make sure that the general population is aware of our plans and our growth, and invite the general public into some of the conversations we'll be having. So this plan is not we're not planning to have a static plan. We want it to be very active and essentially guide us through the development process for the next 25 to 30 years.
Thank you, Denny. I have another question. Do you define your partnership with First Nations as the equal sharing of information on an up-to-date basis?
Absolutely. I mean, the relationship we have with First Nation communities, the community in general, municipalities, it's very, very important that we be open and transparent and share information and work together to really make this region prosper and grow. We're proud of the protocol that we've signed back in 2018. I think it certainly is something that other jurisdictions across Canada should look at doing, but essentially the partnership has to be based on equal and respect, and we adhere to those principles.
I have another question, Denny. Can you elaborate on the Green Hub plan, such as what it includes, hydrogen development, SMR, etc.?
So the Green Energy Hub concept is really looking at the future with respect to the environment and looking at developing our region here in a sustainable way. The government of Canada has set some targets in reducing CO2 emissions by 2030 and beyond. And we believe now is an opportunity for our region here to really be part of something exciting. Within the Green Energy Hub, we are talking about some very specific projects or initiatives that could not only be developed, but also could attract other investments such as industrial development of green products. So products such as, green hydrogen, renewables in our region, whether it be solar or wind, small modular reactors that the province of New Brunswick and government of Canada are looking at, two in particular here in New Brunswick. Battery storage would be another one, carbon capture. These are all different technologies that essentially are being developed and will be approved upon as the next years or so develop. So we see the opportunity to continue with industrial development, but use those cleaner fuels and cleaner energy to produce green products and really grow our region exponentially. So there are a number of projects and initiatives that we've been working on, and I would suggest that everyone stay tuned in the coming months.
Okay, Denny, we have another question. Who would you say was the port's biggest client in 2021, and how much did they contribute to the port's revenue?
So I would say that NB Power is still a very important client of ours. If we look at volume, they would represent about close to 40% of our volume and probably a third of our revenue. And that's one of the main reasons why the master development plan has been developed and worked on, is really to counter the loss of coal, if you will, by 2030. So New Brunswick Power is a very important tenant, very important client. But subsequently, we've had others that have come in. We mentioned in the presentation today that biomass has grown considerably. We've seen a lot of growth in that area, and we see a lot of opportunity actually here in our backyard to use biomass, perhaps to even continue the use of the power plant beyond 2030. So I would say essentially New Brunswick Power is still an important tenant, an important revenue generator for us, but we've seen other sectors, in particular with QSL, that have grown as well.
Thank you, Denny. I have one more question. What construction work is upcoming for this year and possibly 2023? Will you be doing a virtual session again to update contractors?
So this year, as was mentioned, we're finalizing essentially a $34 million expansion. So we are looking to prepare some of the terminals for asphalt, have the proper lighting and drainage put into place, and we are extending laydown space as well. So probably by the end of this fall, that work will have been completed. Fingers crossed, we're hoping to stay within the $34 million budget that we have allocated for that particular project, and things are going in the right direction. Si qu'on regarde un peu l'année prochaine, ou possiblement cette année, l'année prochaine, on a d'autres projets d'expansion. So we have other expansion projects that we are looking at, primarily to take advantage of some of the infrastructure that we have here, and working in partnership with Glencore to use some of those assets that will be left behind. We can regenerate, quite a bit of activity with those assets that are here, and we are actually preparing submissions to make both to the provincial and federal government for assistance.
Okay, and we have one more question. Can you tell me about any specific moves the port will be making in hydrogen, other renewables, and SMRs in 2022?
So with respect to hydrogen, I would say that there's quite a bit of interest internationally. We are speaking to a number of important players, global players, that have identified Belledune as a primary area to produce hydrogen, either for domestic use or for the export, capabilities. Again, there's work that needs to be done before we make any announcements or really look at potential projects. But I would say that since we launched discussions around the Green Energy Hub and the concept that we've been working on, we've seen quite a bit of interest, not only with hydrogen, but with battery storage and other green products that could be developed here. So I'm very enthusiastic about this year and next year, looking at some projects that we can bring here to our region and really be part of the green economy going forward.
Next question is, what progress is being made on Aboriginal inclusion with respect to contracting opportunities?
So we've had a number of conversations with First Nations with respect to involving First Nations directly in contracts that we have here at the port. I know our legal counsel, Jennifer, has been directly involved in those conversations, along with the federal government. So we definitely want to see inclusion with respect to any contract work that we do here, and make sure that First Nations have essentially opportunities for development in those contracts directly. So we're hopeful that this year essentially we'll be able to finalize some of those agreements.
And Denny, that concludes the questions for this AGM.
Thank you very much. So I'd like to thank everyone who took the time to join us today. I appreciate your interest and support of the Belledune Port Authority. A media scrum session has been scheduled for 2 p.m. with a separate invitation, which has already been sent out to interested media. Looking forward to answering any other questions media may have. Merci pour votre temps et votre participation, et bonne journée.